We're going to be starting with day 3 of 100 days concatenation. And we're first going to watch this video.
It's day 3 of 100 Days of Code. You might be looking at the title and going, concatenating? Well, concatenation is just a complicated word that means our ability to glue together bits of text and variables together to make nice full sentences that look good in your output. So you were probably annoyed yesterday that your output looked a bit broken. Everything was going on its own line. Well, let's fix that. In this program, we have printed everything out in a single line, which is quite frankly amazing. And the way we've done that is by placing the different objects we want printed within those brackets on that print statement. Remember, the print statement prints everything out in brackets. But for every different object, we just need to separate it with a comma. And that comma is magic because we can put in as many different objects as we like as long as they are separated by a comma. In this example, I'm going to print out the value of my name, then the sentence is going to be down on, then the value of my lunch, then the text very soon. Let's see that work. Aha! So, a fully comprehensive sentence that is all there in one big block, all achieved by the superpower of commas to join together objects. And of course, you can join together as many objects as you want. But what could go wrong? Well, maybe you've got something like this. Once again, invalid syntax is an error, and when I run it, I get the same thing. Can you spot what's gone wrong there? What are we missing from that bracket? Well, I want to join together 3 different objects, but what's the symbol I need to tell the print statement that they are different objects? It's that magic comma, and we're missing it again. So if I include the comma after the first object and after the second object, that separates them and we should be good to go. Boom, we're sorted. Here's another common error. Now, once again, it's not that sort of error where we get a red underline, so let's see what's going on. Well, it's working. Oh, it's that same error we've seen before, where it's literally printing out the names of the variables instead of the contents. How did we fix that last time? Well, we made sure that variables were not within speech marks. The only thing in speech marks should be strings of text. Fancy a challenge? Once again, I've put a bunch of code together to make a custom song generator that I've sort of broke. So if you can fix it for me, I'd be more than happy. Your challenge for today is to come up with the ultimate wacky recipe maker, because we've all been there. When we were kids, we all tried mixing Nutella with mac and cheese and pizza, and let's be honest, it wasn't probably the most successful recipe ever. But let's reinvigorate those days of yore and build a silly recipe generator. I'm going to ask you to ask your users for several variables: a type of food, a type of plant, a method of cooking, a word to describe a burned food, and the name of a household item. And I'd like you to output them all together with these words and phrases in between, so that if we enter a bunch of content, we get a silly recipe like this: a saute mac and cheese with ruined cactus on a bed of hammers. Now that sounds oddly appealing actually, doesn't it? Maybe you want to remix that and make it your own. Maybe you want to extend it, add more items, maybe add a starter, main and a dessert to the options. Whatever you do, make sure you copy the URL, share it on social media with the hashtag replit100daysofcode, and make sure that your followers, your friends and random people from across the internet can make their random recipes and share it back with you. Now, day 4 tomorrow, it's our first challenge. We're going to put all these skills together and you're going to make something really cool.
We're going to be start to go through day 3. So I'm going to start reading through this. Concatenate. Yeah, big word. It really means is to combine text. Remember, text is called a string and variables together into single sentences. You can make your input and output look super pretty now. Copy the code below into main.py and run it. See what it does. To copy all of this. And then I'm going to paste it. And I'm going to see what it does. So I'm going to have to input that. And what am I having for lunch? Well, since lunch since lunch is already past, I'm just going to put in some food. So then it uses the variables to put it all into one sentence. And then you won't have to actually just put it like that, and it won't change. If it changes the variable, then the whole sentence will change. For example, if I entered my name differently, and then I put something like rice, it then changes the sentence. You just made a full sentence, right? But how did it work? It turns out print has a superpower. We can give it as many different things to print as we want. All we need to do is put a comma between every brackets. So there's the little diagram there. The print function will display whatever is in the brackets. Then you can put as many different variables and strings together as possible, as long as you can put a comma between each of them. So let's go big and try a bunch of code. You probably know this by now, but delete any code first and add all main.py. So I'm going to copy all of this. And I'm going to delete all of this as well. To paste it, and then I'm going to just run it. Give me a number. I'm going to put 13. Give me a collective noun for a group of things. Crowd. Give me the name of a weird or wacky thing. Hmm. No, I don't think that 13 is a crowd of fish. That's just odd. So now it says first delete any other code in main.py. Copy each code snippet below into main.py icon on the top right of each code box and hit the run and see what errors occur. Fix the errors and press 1 again and you are run again until you are error free. Click on the answer to compare your code to the correct code. So I'm going to run it and it should tell me, so line 3, it says that it's wrong here. Print your name thinks it is what year. So the problem here is that is the variable, it doesn't have the comma in between. So then it isn't actually concatenated together. So let's do it again. And it still says it's wrong. Line 3, invalid syntax. Well, everything here seems to be okay, so maybe the commas should be closer. And as you can see, it's running now. And it will then print Joshua thinks it's 2024. So this one. And we're also just going to check the answer. It's just the commas which I put. Your code may run, but look weird. So we're going to copy this. And then run it. As you can see, the variables are also in the speech marks, so they won't be treated as variables, but as strings. So that means that they won't print to the actual thing and not to the variable. So if I do it again and get them out of the string, it's then going to do the correct thing. So now we're going to be moving on to the day 3 challenge. First, delete any other code in your main.py file. Copy each code snippet below into main.py by clicking the copy icon in the top right of each box. Then hit run and see what errors occur. Fix the errors and press run again until you are error-free. Click on the answer to compare your code to the correct code. Going to copy it and then paste it. And I'm now going to run it. And it says there's an error on line 11. You can see name. There's a person called name. So that means there should be a comma here. So I'm going to run it. And then there's also line 12. And I can see here, there's an error. So we're going to need is another comma. And that will acknowledge that they're to be added together. Your song generator, you'll be asked a bunch of questions and you'll make up an amazing song, totally copyright. Name a person famous for something good. So how about Nelson Mandela? Name a thing they did. Uh, Name a place you like.
Home.
And it then says name a place you like, and I would then put school. And give me a verb that rhymes with your person's name. So I can't think of a verb, so I'm just going to do a verb. I'm just going to do a random verb.
Jumping.
Pardon?
Hopping.
Oh, thanks for the suggestion, but in future, please don't unmute yourself without permission. It says there's an error on line 11. And that's because there's no variable known as name. It has to be person. I'm just going to answer it all again. There was a person called Nelson Mandela who did something cool like campaign for equality at the wonderful Scotland where you'll find me hopping. That's the song generator. We're then going to move on to the actual challenge. The ultimate wacky recipe maker. So the first thing I'm going to do is just do all of this. And it says create these as a variable. A type of food, a type of plant, a method of cooking, a word to describe burnt food, and a household item. Output a nice looking recipe page that concatenates a dish in this format. Cooking food with burnt plant on a bed of item. So this is an example. And there's also an extension. Remix your recipe to include more variables and a wacky dish. So I'm just going to actually just going to just do food equals. They're going to put the string. So for this, I'll be going with rice. And for plant, I'll go with spruce tree. Actually, and I'm going to put cooking. Actually, I'm going to name the variable method. And I'm going to do frying. And I'm then going to do burnt food. And I'm just going to use the one it gave me, chard. And then for household item, and that will be table. I'm then going to put all of these into the recipe. So cooking food with burnt plant. So it's already given it to me. So if I run it, it should then work. Buying live charred oak tree on the bed of table. And once you've done all of that, you can then mark the lesson as complete.
Thank you, Joshua, for that. That is impressive. Okay. And we are going to break into different rooms now. 1 minute, let me stop.